Hey guys, Brice here, coming to you with a fusion update for Karato the Foxhunter. The fusion just launched today, but I will urge you to hold on a bit and don't start today. I'll tell you why as we go into this video. Right now, you see that it requires the same epic from different rares that you have to gather throughout all the events that is going on for the week or two. This event will last exactly 2 weeks and 3 days, so you do have enough time. But before you rush into the fusion, remember the calendar has been released by Plarium. If you don't know where it is, I'll post a link below so you can download this calendar for yourself and have a copy so you know which event is coming up next, which one you should focus on and which one you should probably skip. All right, so before we go into it further, remember that this will give you a bunch of epic champions. No, it will give you a bunch of rare champions, 4 different rare champions exactly, all to fuse one epic champion. Now, if you see how this event calendar is colored, you can see there is a different color between each of these rare champions, and each of these rare champions have 4 events that you can get them from. So you can get Trugo from Dungeon Divers, Champion Training Event, Dragon Tournament, and Artifact Enhancement throughout the week as you go on. You can also get the Spymaster from this other Ice Golem event that is currently going on right now, Artifact Enhancement, Classic Arena, and Dungeon Divers number 2. So you can also get Medicus. You get the point. You will get each of these rares 4 times from the whole week as we are going on. But here is where it gets interesting. Fija, the epic champion, can also be obtained from Summon Rush. Summon Rush is going to start tomorrow, which is the 11th on Friday, and it's a 10x Summon Rush. That means it's not one of those 2x events where you have to pull secrets or get double chance events. No, it's a 10x which people don't like to pull from, and that's exactly where Fija, an extra copy of Fija, is placed. So without you pulling for this Summon Rush to get Fija, you can also pull for Summon Rush to get Cagebound. That is tomorrow. But if you do get the Cagebound rare, you don't need to push extra hard to get Fija. But if you want to skip some of these events, maybe skip one rare, maybe skip this rare, you can push extra hard for Summon Rush and be able to skip one of these events that are currently, maybe you don't like Ice Golem, you can decide to skip Ice Golem for 1 copy of this rare, skip another one, skip another one. You can skip one from each of the rares. That's what I mean, if you do push for Summon Rush. But as a free to play who don't like to push for 10x event, I will not be pushing for an extra copy of Fija. Instead, I'll be putting that effort into completing all the events that are going on so I can complete all the rares. So yes, you know, I like to expose my fusion plan for you guys so they can help you guide and decide how you also go about your own fusion planning. So yes, I wouldn't recommend pushing extra hard to get a copy of Fija just to be able to skip Artifact Enhancement 3 or just to be able to skip Champion Training 2. These rares will not be placed in a position where it will be difficult to get in this event. It will be reasonable to get from the events that are going on. And remember, we have super rates turned on, so the dragon, the spider, all these events and tournaments will be easy to complete with super rates turned on. So you don't need to look for events to skip here. Champion Chase event will also be easy because you have maybe some saved up fragments that you want to pull and all that. So now the next question is, people are asking, is Fija even worth getting an extra copy for? Do you want to fuse this legendary champion and still want to get an extra copy of her? I don't know any of these champion skills. I don't know any of these champions abilities. So let's take a second to review if any of these rares are even worth keeping, especially for you free to play out there starting the game a month or 2 who is looking at this fusion thinking, is it even for me? Will any of these rares be useful for me to keep, or should I just get them and use them as food? So remember, before we use rares as food, we want to see if any of the abilities will serve us in the game. So let's head over to the game and find out what each of these rares actually do, and find out if they are purely food or they can serve us in one particular area of the game. Trugo belongs to the Barbarian faction. He doesn't look like a Barbarian. Initially from his picture, I thought he was a dwarf or something, but apparently he's a Barbarian. And his A1 increases attack by 25%. This is not awesome because we want rare champions that can increase attack by 50%. At least even for themselves, even if not for the entire team. So his A2 also hits 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing stun. That's a very low chance, booked to 30%. So that's not a useful skill either from a rare champion. Attacks all enemies is A3. A 4-turn cooldown has a 30% chance of increasing the cooldown of all of each target skills by 2 turns. So he's like a mini warlord. He can increase the target's cooldown, or basher, a mini basher. Let's call him a basher. But it's a very low chance of happening. Now that's a useful skill, but it's not like a champion that you want to use just because of this skill, because probably before he will be able to do it again, he's dead. So this is not a rare champion that is gonna be useful, but it's crazy to see a rare with that ability to increase cooldown. I don't think I've ever seen a rare that can do it. Some of them can do it on a single target, but he's doing it on an AoE. So that's new to the game, I guess. The next champion I want to take a look at is Spymaster. This is a Bannerlord's champion. Now, this build looks better than Trigger's own in terms of the design. Bannerlords always look epic, like they are all ready for war, with an awesome shield right there. On an A1, attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of decreasing the duration of 2 random buffs on the target by 1 turn. That's not a very useful skill, although it's 2 random buffs. We don't have often come across champions or enemies who have a lot of buffs on them that you want to decrease the cooldown. Instead, you want to remove it entirely. Alright, on the A2, attacks all enemies, has the 50% chance of placing a block buffs debuffs. Now, this is what we are looking for. We are looking for this skill because of the Hydra and maybe some extremely difficult Doom Tower stages that you don't want them to buff themselves at all, especially put their counter attack and all that on themselves. So this champion looks like the budget version of a lot of champions we're using right now for block buff, especially this epic champion. What's her name now? I forgot her name. She has provoke and all that. We use her for the Hydra right now. So it seems like this is a very useful champion, but it's a 4-turn cooldown. Block buff that lasts for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. That means it will not be available for you to use it again. So yes, you beginner players thinking this will help you for the Hydra, forget about it, because you need this skill to be available again before the first one falls off the Hydras. So this is not a useful one for the Hydra, but it's a good attempt at people who are trying to build budget teams, or you have a challenge to only beat the Hydra with rare champions. I don't know why you make yourself go through that, but hey, that's a skill right there that might be useful for the early game. Now, through the dungeons, through the maybe clan boss, you do not need this skill, although it might be useful for the clan boss to make sure it doesn't place that increased attack. But unless you bring something else to the team, it will not be useful. Places a counter attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Also places a 75% chance of placing provoke debuff for 1 turn. So counter attack and provoke is always useful, but it should be at least on a 3-turn cooldown. We have rares that can do it on a 3-turn cooldown. I think, yes, one of those Skinwalker's champion, I think, can do it on a 3-turn cooldown. Counter attack and provoke also. Provoke on the A1 though, not on the same skill. So this is kind of useful, I guess. He's a HP based champion, so Spymaster will survive this provoke that is coming in if you add some defense. So this looks like the rare champion that is so far winning the race and the best one out of the 4. So let's see if any of them will overtake and be better than this rare that we just checked out. Spymaster. This is Medicus. It looks like an undead but cleaner. If we had some rots here, we would call this an undead, but it has the long high elf's ears and the neat looking shiny gold well designed princess of a palace kind of look who went rogue. On an A1, just a simple A1 and attacks one enemy 2 times. A2 is an AoE that has a 50% chance of placing decreased speed, 15% decreased speed though, not the high 30% decreased speed that we need. 50% is okay if you don't have the 30% version. And right now we have champions that place A1 30% versions, but for you to get this 30% decreased speed, you need epic champions, maybe void champions that can do it AoE. So this is kind of a useful skill if you don't have any other option. But I don't see any reason why you want a 15% decrease speed when you have a 30% option. Example, Seal the Drake does the A1 decrease of 30%. So this one is not that useful, except you're doing a bunch of waves that needs to be slowed down. If not, you won't be able to take a turn. On the A3, places a 30% increased speed. Again, we need 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Places a increased speed also. Well, this is the champion that is useful. I just saw that this skill has a 3-turn cooldown if you book it 3 times. So does this one have a 3-turn cooldown also? Yes, it does have a 3-turn cooldown. So I'm comparing this champion right now to, what's her name now? This champion that buffs and debuffs, Diabolist. So I can, although Diabolist does decrease the turn meter a little bit, but this decreases their speed, and while this one increases your speed, while also giving increased defense. Although that's a small version of increased defense, but the increased speed of 15% is for 2 turns. So yes, this kind of compares with Diabolist. Let me know if I'm wrong, but this champion seems like a good contender for Diabolist. But not that useful. Although, does it have a aura? Does she have any aura? If there's no aura, then no. I don't think a lot of rares have auras. Alright, so far I think Spymaster is still winning the race for the best rare out of all these 4 that have been released for the fusion of Karato. Cagebound is the 4th option. He's a lizard man, looking like he belongs in a cage indeed. A small Razen, I guess. A little baby Razen. But let's see his skill, what he does. On his A1, he places a shield buff on this champion for 1 turn equal to 10% of his max HP. He's based on defense, therefore, that means he's calling in some damage if he's placing a shield on himself. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing 25% decrease attack. That's an AoE decrease attack. It's not a 50% one, but it's a rare, remember, so 25% decrease attack is also useful sometimes if you don't have any option. But this skill doesn't bring anything else to the battle, so just decrease attack on an AoE 25% is like something a rare would have. On the A3, 25% ally protect buff on all allies except this champion, and also 15% continuous heal on himself. We've seen this skill before. It's on a 3-turn cooldown, so it will be useful a little bit if you don't have any other option to keep your team alive if you're doing early game dungeons especially. But I wouldn't take this champion more than level 50. He's a void champion, so you expect him to have a better utility than all the others, but it seems like he's just a normal champion that has all the low chances of placing stuff and decrease attack 25%, ally protect 25%. So we have epics that can do better because they are epics, but we don't have rares that can do better than these though. So it's normal with all other rares. So out of the 4, I think the best one out of them is this Spymaster. Mostly because of these block buffs and counter attack provoke. This void champion we just saw almost contended with her, so you might want to choose between Spymaster or Cagebound if you need some defense in your team, decrease attack and ally protect. But so far these are the 2 I'm putting my money on. I don't need speed boosters because we already have speed boosters and high cartoon earlier in the game, so you really don't need this champion to decrease speed and all that, so you can do your battles normally. Now down to the epic to see if it will be worth you going for an extra copy of this champion. Alright, so let's head over to the epic that you'll be getting 4 copies of just for this fusion, and an extra copy if you go for the final summon rush one that is available. Her name is Filja, a dwarf's epic champion, looking like all the other dwarfs, short, stout, with a weapon that is twice their size. But this one is looking all golden, so maybe she's a special type of dwarf. Let's find out what she actually does. On an A1, she decreases the target's max HP by 10% of the damage inflicted. Now, cannot decrease a single enemy's max HP by more than 50%. So this might be useful for the Scarab boss, but since she cannot decrease it more than 50%, that means that max HP skill might not be able to fully deplete that. This is a condition that makes her not be able to be viable for that Scarab boss, I guess, because you need people that can fully deplete the entire max HP, or for factions or for some faction war bosses also that requires that ability. I'm not sure the dwarves faction war boss requires max HP reduction though, but that's the only place we use max HP. But we have blood shield and other accessories that makes us not even need champions like this with decreasing max HP. It's not usually a useful skill on the A1, but okay. Especially when she uses it a lot in the battle, maybe to finally help you catch up with the enemy that is healing himself a lot. But that's not a useful one to make you want to keep a champion. Has a 75% chance of fully depleting the target's turn meter. Now this is one that is useful, although it doesn't bring anything else. Usually when you deplete the target's turn meter, you need to do something else to that target. What else are you doing to it? So it's 100% turn meter depletion, but it's only one enemy. It's not like an AoE one like Razin. Yes, I did compare with Razin because Razin can fully deplete the turn meter by 100% on his, I think his A3 skill. Although this is on a 4-turn cooldown just like Razin too. She's an attack-based champion. So how long will you survive to be doing all this? So full turn meter depletion on A2. That's just what it has, no other additional thing coming up there. Attacks all enemies, fills this champion's turn meter by 15% and heals them by 15% of the damage inflicted if this attack is critical. That's it. This champion is not useful. So I recently saw a YouTube thumbnail that says worth keeping or crazy epic. I just read through her 3 skills and I'm not impressed at all. So yes, this is not the champion you want to get the 4 copies of the rest for the fusion and then an extra copy just for keeps. No, this is not a what do you call it, Demeter type of epic or something that is game changing. This is not a game changing epic at all. Of course, let me know if I'm wrong, if I'm reading these skills wrong also. But turn meter fuel of 15% and heals 15% of the damage inflicted is not something we have a healer usually in your team. You don't want to be healing yourself. Except she heals all the entire team, does she? No, heals them by 15%. Fills this champion's turn meter by 15% and heals them by 15%. So she doesn't heal the entire team by 15%, just herself. So that's a selfish one. Let's see a passive. If this champion has 2 or fewer buffs at the start of the turn, places increased attack. So our increased attack is automatic, and increased crit damage is also automatic on this champion. Therefore, they're expecting her to do a lot of damage since she's based on attack. So they're expecting her to be like a what do you call this other short dwarf now? I won't check the dwarf index, but there's a dwarf that hits twice that does a lot of. She's also an epic that does a lot of damage. So they're expecting her to do that, be that kind of dwarf that does extra things, I guess, plus damage. But I don't see it happening. This is a 4-turn cooldown. Why this is a 3-turn cooldown? I don't see it happening. So that's the dwarfs that are expected in this fusion. The rest of the week that is coming up, let me add some other information for you in case you're going for this fusion. Right now you read through the skills. By now you know which of the rares to pick or which ones to keep if you're not going for the full fusion. But a copy of this epic is not something I would go for, or the noob to pro. Remember, we do have the noob to pro, and if this epic was awesome, I would have gone for some of the rares just to get a copy of her. But she doesn't seem like an awesome champion. Maybe for faction wars if you don't have epics in that faction right now. That's what I think of this champion. We already went through his skills and his abilities in the previous video. So maybe you check that video out where we talked about Karato Foxhunter and decided whether he's good enough for fusion. But if you're still wondering, yes, this champion is good enough for you to fuse. So right now we can't see his full design, and I tell you he's looking like a real Shadow King faction. I just want him for faction wars. That's the truth. Right now I have Ninja in faction wars and some other epics that are not doing it well for me. So with him in faction wars, I think he can supplement some damage, so those epics can take a rest, while a real legendary champion who can do attack can take their place. That's what I need him for, nothing special. So yes, I'll be going for this fusion on my main account, while the noob to pro will not. Now the other information I wanted to pass on to you is right now you see there is magic affinity potions needed for these fusions. Some force, some spirit, and some void. But the main one you need to be farming from today is the magic keep. Right now it is not open. I don't think it was open yesterday, but when the magic keep was open, I should have informed you guys yesterday to farm it. We were not sure yesterday if the champion that will be available will be requiring so many magic potions. So how many magic potions exactly do you need to fuse this fusion? I've put out the information right there that you need about 44 greater magic potions to fuse this champion. If I head over to my inventory and see how much I have saved, I have not farmed it also, but once it's open I will do so. Head over to the tavern, go to your ascensions and potion mixer. I currently have an excess number of greater magic potions, an excess number of the lesser ones, but I do not have a lot of superior ones. So if it comes down to it, I can use my 794 greater ones to get the number of superiors I need, but it's not advisable because it will cost you a lot of silver. So it's required that you go into the magic potions when it is eventually open and farm 24 superior magic potions. That's the amount of magic potions you need for those epics that are listed there for you to fuse this champion. So 24 superior magic potions is the magic number you need. And for arcane, that will get you up to 12 superior arcane potions or more. I think 12 superior arcane potion is just for one of the epics, but that's what I have on my list. 12 superior arcane potions. I do have enough. I don't need to farm it. But for those of you who don't, get up to 24 superior magic potions and 44 greater magic potions, so you don't get caught lacking when this fusion is about to end. As for the other voids and the other ones that you need, is a lesser number than you need. 108 greater arcane for a total of all of them. If you divide, it's about 12 or 24 each. I don't have the exact numbers except those ones for the magic potion that I calculated, because that's all I needed to know. All the other ones are kind of easy to get. Another information I want to pass on to you, if you're not fully aware, RSL Helper will help us complete these missions easily, and there's an update and it broke your RSL Helper. Head over to the RSL Helper Discord and download a new version that is looking nice and neat, that is a totally different design than what we are used to. So we are happy to see that a new available option is new abilities or new features are being added to it, and new interface entirely that is looking more smooth and clean. If you have any issues with it, remember the RSL Helper official Discord is the place to go type your questions and ask, and they will show you screenshots on how to solve it, even if you can't download it or if it's not working for you right now. Right now you see mine is working, a new one, so I'm not lacking out on the fusion. So before you head over to the fusion and start doing your the available ice golem right now, remember I said in the beginning of this video that you should wait. Yes, why you should wait is because Dungeon Divers is not until 12th, which is on a Saturday. So don't start your ice golem today. You still have 12th and 13th to finish your ice golem. And remember, with super rates turned on, you can finish your ice golem in one day. Yes, especially if you're farming ice golem 20. But if you're farming 14, 13 or so on, maybe you want to start now so you have enough time to complete it. But hey, I wouldn't advise you to start spending your saved up energy. By saved up energy, I mean the ones that are currently in your inbox. Don't start using it today, because dungeon divers are hard to complete without farming a particular dungeon. You can't just decide to complete dungeon divers by playing the game normally. You know, whenever there is a dungeon diver on, you want to actually be farming a particular dungeon. So I'll be saving all my energy that is in my inbox, which is not a lot, for when the dungeon divers event starts. But that way I can also complete dungeon divers and the ice golem on the same day. That's the first line of event that I see that is not syncing up with what is going on. A lot of people are currently going into the ice golem and trying to complete it. So I don't think there is any extra rares to get from this event, but let's quickly check, since it's a tournament, in case you want to push for those easy ones like we normally do, to get an extra rare so we don't have to go for another copy by winning some of our tournaments and events. That's a tip that we always do in those fragment fusion. Let's see if it's possible on this one also. So as you can see right here, from the ice golem tournament that is going on, there is no extra rare to pick up. than the main one that is available over here. So there's no need to really push hard for this or try to save energy by getting extra duplicates so you don't have to complete some events. From the classic arena takedown, let's see if there's an extra rare available here. Nope, there's no extra rare for you to pick up here either. So I think this event will not have any extra copies of the rares for you to keep. It will have each one available there for both tournaments and events, that no extra copies for you to pick up. The only way for you to get the extra copy of an epic is for you to complete the summon rush that is starting on, is it tomorrow? Yes, summon rush that is starting tomorrow. That's where you can pick up the extra copy. Also, you might notice the snow has stopped falling finally in raid by February. I don't know why it took them so long to turn off the snow. It was starting to get a little bit annoying, to be sincere. All right, that's my fusion plan. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Raid Shadow Legends video. Good night. 13 minutes go soon reach. Let me end that.